Welcome back, terrestrials. In this episode, we're doing Alien Romulus.
Rambless.
Before we get started, I don't really know the series all that well. I'm going to be
Okay.
honest. Also, I think we should judge Jerry because he just told me he makes pinto beans or refried beans with navy beans. So go ahead
No.
and hate in the comment section.
Oh yeah.
Anyways, I don't know the series terribly well.
Okay.
Because I've seen Alien a couple times now. I've seen all the other ones once, maybe twice.
Okay.
They're not at the top of my memory. So going into this movie, it was hit or miss references that I was gathering.
No.
But with that being said, Jerry, what was your rating for this?
All right. I'm going in between. No, I'm gonna go A.
I
I
agree.
love this movie.
It's
I love
fucking
this
great.
movie.
Yeah, it's a great movie.
Um.
Um, Again, I don't know anything,
Right.
so if somebody who knows the series well or loves the series well, I know Jerry, at one point you were telling me, it was getting hate for a couple different things. I get it on those some of those things that we'll go over later, but this I initially watched it and I told Jerry about it. I was like, "Hey man, I started Alien Romulus or whatever that thing is
Right.
because it was new. I was looking for something new and it's whatever. I fell asleep. I turned it off halfway or fell asleep halfway through it. And, I was on my phone, blah, blah, blah. I'm so glad that Jerry brought this back and was like, hey, we need to do this movie because I was screwing myself over by not paying attention to this movie
Right.
and not giving it the chance that it needed and deserved because it's a great fucking movie.
Yeah.
I don't
I
think it's
would.
horror. I
Oh,
think it's sci-fi,
I think it's
but
right there with back into what Alien needs to be. I would say, if I may, this would go with Prey, where it's like, okay, we have a new audience. Let's introduce or like Prey, uh, the Hellraiser, um, maybe even Suspiria, where
all right,
you
man.
kind of
I'll see you later.
you got to kind of hit those notes from the original, you know? You got to hit those notes. You got to introduce what this is to an audience, but don't like throw every movie out there. Don't you don't throw like in Hellraiser. Like
Yeah.
there
No,
were
I
no
get you.
other movies out there. It
Yeah.
was just
I do think that I did. So this is what I'm saying when I say like I don't okay, so I don't know this like I don't know if there was more references, but I think this goes from Alien to Alien Romulus fantastically.
yeah.
Because those are the two that I know. Like obviously this one being fresh, but
Right.
Aliens, Alien 3, Prometheus. I know they make mention of Prometheus in this movie, but all those movies, like without having seen them, only really remembering one and this,
Mhm.
it's seamless almost.
Yeah. Okay. Well, the big reason I would say like you don't get very many like I mean the movie's chock full with member berries. Like it's like
Is
member
it?
berry. Yeah, it's got a lot of member berries, and that was the big complaint I started hearing people, where it's like, okay, well, you know, they're doing so many member berries in this.
Mhm,
It seems just kind of like let's shoot Alien again, you know?
mhm,
Um, but like I enjoyed them. I enjoyed them because they were callbacks. They were they furthered the story. I mean, every Alien movie is basically just the first Alien movie. Like when you watch it, when it comes down to it, there's an alien here. There's a lot of people that don't believe her. then we have to fight the alien, and then roughly at the end, we think the alien's dead, but oh, nope, surprise, it's not dead. Okay, we got to figure this out, you know?
Okay, so I
And
don't think that that's how this movie worked at all.
no,
Everybody believed the alien existed immediately
yeah,
because that motherfucker was it like started off just murking. So
yeah,
like everybody saw that thing.
yeah, those face
Um,
huggers were awesome, like right starting out, and
they did feel very spider-like in this one. Like they used
they,
the effect of like the idea of like a bunch of spiders coming at you quickly. You
right,
know what I mean? Like it played on arachnophobia really well.
right. And I
But
think like, and that's another thing when I'm judging, like when I'm watching an alien movie and I'm really watching it, I'm like, does this hold true to the H.R. Geiger? Because they're his monsters. They're his monsters. You know, like anytime I see an alien movie, it's like, would HR like approve of these monsters? You know?
this one, yes.
Yeah, yeah. The way that the face hugger, I will even go into, the abortion, I mean the the
The
uterus
abortion, all
monster.
right.
The
Yeah.
uterus monster at the end, it's like it feels bio
Yeah.
mechanical. Like it everything in here. Like even like into his like, like the when the alien is molting and
Mhm.
on the and like the molting thing and it's like a big vagina and
Yeah.
shit and I'm like, "Oh, that feels Geiger. That feels Geiger." Like,
Yeah, I mean, yeah, there's definitely, like I said, as somebody that is not and doesn't know the series in depth like I do, a
mhm,
lot of the series that we do, I wasn't concerned with those things. Like I wasn't
right.
concerned with how did it hold up, how did it fare, like how well did it, did it take care with the series?
Hmm.
So that's good to hear that it was, but I like the creativity of a lot of this movie was just like really awesome.
Yes.
Um, I the biggest thing for me in this movie, and it's yeah, well, all right. So the biggest thing for me in this movie is the guy that plays the android.
Oh, I loved him.
How much acting can you do with just your face? Like that dude is incredible.
Yeah.
He played that role incredibly. Like he stole
Oh,
the show from a xenomorph. And
especially because he's
everybody
playing
went to
two
go,
characters. He's
well,
playing two different characters.
not only that, but like when you steal the show from the xenomorph that everybody came to the movie to see,
Right.
like, wow, great job, man. Like,
Like,
I was just I was like so baffled by him
yeah.
and his acting. Like, he was distracting from the fucking movie. He was so good. I was just like,
Yeah.
God, dude, he's so awesome. Like, it's
Especially
so
when we
good.
learn like, okay, yeah, he is a synthetic and his parts are like secondhand and that's
Mhm.
why he's like kind of like slow and kind of has like those weird like ticks
But
and
also so sweet, also
but yeah,
programmed,
yeah. Oh, yeah. He's
like,
programmed to make sure
yeah.
that he tells the dad jokes
Hmm.
and like all of that. And then when she puts the other synth
Hmm.
chip in there, he's businessman.
Yeah.
Like, and he's a completely different character. And it's like, whoa, that's
Yeah.
crazy to tell an actor halfway through a movie, you got to play it this way, but then you have to play it this way. But then she takes the chip out, and then he has to go back to reverting
Hmm.
to playing the character this way. And it was just like, oh, that's so fucking good.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, he was my biggest takeaway of the movie. It was
Yeah.
just watching him, well, obviously, yeah, watching him do both those roles, that dual role, like that duality.
Yeah.
It was great. If there was to be an android, that would be the way I would expect it to be.
Yeah.
Like he plays an android like you know that's the best form that I've ever seen anybody play. Um, so yeah, I don't know. It
Yeah,
was
I
just
mean, like where a character actor, an actor like that can take like, okay, you're playing an android. Now, there's been a lot of androids in these movies, and most of them play them like a normal actor.
mhm,
That like Alien Resurrection, Winona Ryder plays Winona Ryder in that movie. She just happens to be an android,
mhm,
or small pieces like that. I mean, like if you think about the original, um, I can't remember the act, Ian Holmes.
mhm.
Okay, like he was good, but because he was like business, he was only business.
Yeah, he was
He just
working
had
for the company.
yeah, he seemed more human, but that's how they needed to have him to have that great scene where all of a sudden you realize, oh, he's a robot. Oh,
Mhm,
he's a robot. This just bringing in that android, the synthetic, right off the bat. There is
mhm.
no like hidden details. Yeah, he's an android.
Right.
And I was like, oh, that's great. I like that. I will also say, our main actress, really enjoyed her.
Yeah, she was great.
I
Yeah, she
think,
did a good job too.
because
Um, I was very happy when the kid with the bandana got it. I was very,
oh,
very happy
the
because
real
he
thick
just kept,
accent guy.
I don't know, the one with the bandana, the shitty one,
Okay,
the one that had the
yeah,
problem with the synthetic, because of the way he was treating the synthetic. I was like,
yeah,
man, fuck you,
yeah.
dude. Like, I get it. Like, I get, they explain why he is the way that he is, but fuck you still. Fuck you,
Right.
man. Like,
I mean,
like,
even like there's that one part where Hunky Boy is like, and his sister is
mhm,
getting dragged off by one of the xenomorphs,
mhm,
and he's like, we gotta open the door, and he's like, I can't do that.
mhm,
And he's like, no, we have to open the door, and he's like, I can't do that. That's what he wants.
mhm.
And like his protocol
Yeah,
knows there's no way I can open this door,
yeah,
get
for
your
sure.
sister out, and not have that thing come in here after all of you. You
But
know?
it's also kind of crazy to me. Like, I get it. He's a junked up version of like probably like a fully formed, like a proper put together
Right.
synthetic. But he was super strong, and he caught that face hugger when it went after Hunky Boy.
Yeah.
Like, when he was done
There was
rebooting, and yeah. So like, he could have done more. Like, that's the only qualm that I'm going to give that synthetic at all. Like,
only
that
part of his
android
protocol. He'll
could.
only do what he has to and shit. Fucking,
I guess, but
you know.
I mean, he could have went in there and karate chopped that fucking xenomorph in half, probably. Like,
No, you never know.
he
Those xenomorphs are
he
crazy.
held an elf. He held an elevator. Like, he held it like this. Like, he was on the ladder with one arm holding an elevator.
Yeah.
Like, and then, thousands of pounds of steel, and he was just holding it with one arm.
Yeah.
So
Oh,
I
was that
I
that was when they were in zero G, right? Or did
no,
the
no, no, no,
the
no, no.
gravity
They
come
were.
back in?
It was already back in and it was starting to fall, and he caught it as it
Okay.
was falling, and he held
Yeah.
on to it for minutes, and then he let it go to grab the gun to fall down and kill the xenomorph.
Yeah, yeah,
Um,
definitely. Um, Another thing I really liked about this movie, if I may, the last two movies, that would have been Prometheus and Alien Covenant.
mhm,
They brought in a different art style.
mhm,
So everything was sleek and glossed like an
yeah,
iPad.
mhm,
This reverted back
right,
to the
for sure,
Commodore 64 look
right,
that I really love. All those old, like, special effect details, like the keyboards have like those old 70s looks, and
mhm.
like everything kind of like just makes weird noises, and like, oh, I was so happy when I saw all of those, like what the world looks like and how it looks like. I kept on saying Commodore 64 look. Like
Mhm.
it looks like old, like technology, but yet modern. And I was
Right,
like,
yeah, yeah.
oh,
It's futuristic, but
great.
also it's Mad Max, but in the future kind of thing.
Right.
Um, yeah, I enjoyed it. I think that. one of the other things that this movie did fantastically, because I did enjoy that and I loved like the spaceship buttons being old, and you're right, it went back to Alien 1.
Right.
Um, one of the things that I did think that this movie did very like it was very wise and they did it very well, and I enjoyed it, but I recognized it and I was kind of like, I'm on to you, motherfucker. Um, sound. The
Yeah.
sound they used like expert level of using sound, of the heartbeat, the alarms, the everything to build tense moments. They
Yeah.
use sound so well. And they use sound like, especially when Hunky Boy's sister is getting, like, you see the alien creeping up and they're screaming to her and you can't really hear her. And
Yeah, it's all
then they
muffled.
flip back to the other side and they're screaming at, the synthetic Andy. And, then it's back and forth, back and forth. And then, the scenes where there's just like that alarm going like,
Yeah.
and you're just like, it's building tension and you're like, God damn, dude, they're doing really good with this sound. Like, I know that that's a psychology thing
Yeah,
that
it
movies
builds
do.
tension. It
Yeah.
builds,
It builds
especially
your
like,
anxiety is
yeah.
what it does.
When,
And it did a great job. I thought that
yeah.
this movie was done really, really well in so many different
Right.
areas. Um,
That's why I put it in that prey genre, because
yeah,
like it's taking, or even like Candyman. You take the old and like, we didn't need Sigourney Weaver in this movie,
right,
you know. We
right.
didn't need,
She's gonna be in
like,
the next one.
yeah. Well, this movie takes place in between Alien 1 and Alien 2.
Oh,
So
does it? Okay.
she's in sleep. She left the Nostromo and she's in sleep to get to Alien 2. But I think they were only like 20 years from they said that the Nostromo like was destroyed like 2 decades ago. So she's got like two more decades until she gets out of sleep. So,
Oh, okay.
because she was in sleep for 44 years.
Oh,
I
really?
think that's
Okay.
what they said. 44 years.
These are the things that without knowing the series well, I don't
Yeah.
know.
Like,
Um,
it's one of those theories, like I've always said, is like, I mean, shit, I can pull them all out. Like, I have tons of alien. I've just like, of any franchise, I think the most loved of like science fiction and horror. And when they
yeah,
pulled
I wanted to bring this up to you because I kind of mentioned it at first. I don't think this is a horror movie. I think this
Scott
is just a
Elements,
science. Yeah, but I
I
think this
can,
is
all
just a
right, I'll
science.
let you go with
Well,
your statement, and I will
I'm
happily
not saying that the
oblige.
argument can't be made.
Okay.
I'm just saying, in my mind, this is just a really good sci-fi movie
Right.
because Event Horizon isn't a horror movie. Ghosts of Mars aren't a horror movie, but they are fighting some sort of monster. They are fighting some sort of something.
Right.
Like at the same time, what's the one Moon or
Moon would be
yeah,
sci-fi. Yeah.
yeah, that's also a horror movie because it's a psychological thing. You know what I'm
Psychological,
saying?
right.
So like just because the xenomorph is an alien and it's scary looking, that's the argument that you get to make with it being a horror movie.
Right.
Independence Day isn't a horror movie, it's an action movie,
It's an
right?
action, a sci-fi action. Yeah.
Predator isn't really a horror movie, it's an
I
action.
will definitely argue that case.
Well, but it's not though. It's just an action movie.
Yeah, but
Like it has
there's
horror elements, but this
right.
is where like I started drawing the line in the sand
No, okay.
because like I was watching this movie and I was like, this is a fucking fantastic sci-fi movie.
Okay.
And yes, there are horror elements in it, but
Right.
to me, I can't think of a super rad sci-fi movie that doesn't have some sort of creature or some sort of like psychological situation that I go, Like it needs that in any sci-fi movie. It
Right.
needs that. So to say that it's because there's an adversary of outer otherworldly adversary that it's automatically a horror movie.
Yeah.
No. So if anything, it's a sci-fi horror, not a horror sci-fi.
Okay.
Um, I think that that's flipped. And
I
same
will. Yeah.
thing, same thing with Predator, same thing with Prey, same thing with any of these movies. They are sci-fi movies than horror
Yeah.
movies.
Like I see where you're coming from. I've always stated like, okay, put the meter in the middle, okay? And this is our movie. And over here we have sci-fi and over here we have horror. And it moves from this. Whereas like, certain movies have more sci-fi elements and comedy elements or more horror elements. Um,
Right, but in movie stores, there's no sort of more sci-fi,
right,
more less horror section. So
right.
it's either sci-fi
Just
or it's horror,
right,
and you can find a copy in both sections possibly. But
right.
there's no this
See,
one's a little bit more
okay.
than this one, but it's also less than this one, so like
The way I saw it and like or have seen it is like, okay, the first Alien was always promoted as the Texas Chainsaw Massacre in space.
right.
This I see more as um Evil Dead in space. It's a group of kids. They go to this spaceship because they found out there's something there that they need. They
Mhm.
go in not knowing that it's fucked up, realize it's fucked up, and then it turns into spam in a fucking spaceship. Like there's always just going to be our one main character that's going to make it out alive. Everybody else is just meat
Yeah,
popsicles,
I
you know?
think yeah. I mean, if you were really wanting to compare it to something, yeah.
It's
But
like
I mean, I don't know.
Like I understand your point of just like saying like science fiction. See, like when I just get like a base of science fiction, I'm like compare this to like the first Star Wars. Like like the
But that's like sci-fi fantasy.
right,
So
right.
that's like saying Lord of the Rings versus Terminator.
Right.
Like they're both fantasy. No, this one's action fantasy. This one's
Right.
fantasy.
Right.
Like, you know what I mean? So like that's apples and crayon apples. Like
Right.
it's kind of the same thing, but not quite.
Like if like the second Aliens, I wouldn't classify that as a horror movie. I would classify that as a science fiction being first, action movie because James Cameron loves action. They're just shooting guns and shit. But this, I want to think the intention is to have like those like scary moments, but it's still in an element of sci-fi. It's in a nice little pocket of science fiction that's really nice and comfortable, but yet there is this thing that is still menacing out there and
For sure. But I started
horror.
wondering to myself, like, why can't it just be an awesome sci-fi movie? Like, yeah, there's
Because I
horrific
want it to be a
elements and
horror
stuff.
movie because it's always
Right.
been a horror
But
movie.
but
Fucking
even the first one is more science fiction than it is horror. Even The Thing is more science fiction than it is horror.
right.
Like these movies can just be science fiction movies and they can be really badass science fiction movies. To call them horror is because we're horror heads and we go, no, that's mine. That's
Yeah.
mine. That's
Yeah.
my movie.
It's
I
got too
love
many
that movie.
elements in there. I'm
Like,
claiming it. I'm
so
claiming it
yeah.
as a
Yeah,
horror
but
movie.
like
Right.
it's just a good sci-fi movie. And like
Right.
to like, yeah, you can make the argument it's not a big deal. I don't care.
Right.
But it's just
That's
funny
a
to
good
me.
argument.
Like I was watching this movie and I was like, it's just a science fiction movie. It's just a really good science fiction movie.
Yeah.
And I started thinking about it, I was like, all these fucking movies are just really good science fiction movies. but we just keep claiming them as horror
Yeah,
movies.
we put them in as like The Burbs. Is The
Yeah,
Burbs a
right.
comedy?
That's just a
Just a straight
comedy.
comedy movie?
It's just a comedy, but I
Does
want it
this
in
mean like
horror because
Jason X is just a science fiction movie?
Jason X is an abomination,
No,
honestly.
Jason
But
X is a like phenomenal. Like you need to go back and watch that fucking movie because I watched it
I've
last
watched
time.
it. I've watched it several times.
Oh, so fucking good.
I've seen it so many times. I know it. Like I
Like
know
it's
it.
suburban Sasquatch good.
It's yeah, exactly. That's my point. It's not good, but that's good to you. So that's different. But back to this movie. I don't want to talk about
Back to this
fucking
movie. Right. We've okay.
metal mask Jason over
Hey Jacob,
and
do you know who the director of this movie is? Take a wild guess,
uh
like from just the cinematography and what you saw in direction. Can you guess what movies he may or may not have directed? I'll give you three
is
picks.
it Chris Nolan?
No,
Okay.
no, it's
Um,
not Chris Nolan.
okay. I watched the movie. It said directed by, and I can't
Yeah, I
remember.
know
So,
because I had
uh,
to sit down. No, no, you're gonna cheat, motherfucker. Give
no,
me
I was
three
just
movies that
pushing
you think this
something.
guy may have directed. We've seen one in the last 4 years, and we've
Oh,
seen
okay.
one.
It's
We've
only
reviewed
hundreds of
two of his
movie
movies.
cheers.
We've
That's
reviewed two of his
you're
movies.
asking me to go through a Rolodex of 1,000 movies to guess which two movies he made.
Yeah.
Cool. No, I don't know who it
Okay.
is. And is it the fucking director of I don't know,
Okay.
whatever.
All right. So you're giving up. Okay.
Yeah.
The first movie that he directed that I was like, oh, that's pretty good. He directed the first Evil Dead remake.
Okay.
Okay, the one with the them in the cabin, the girl, you know. I was like, cool. He directed Don't Breathe.
That was a good one.
Yeah, that's a great one. He also directed the Netflix version of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Well, this is his redemption then,
Swear to
because
God, I was so happy when I was like, oh, I'm so happy
this
for him.
proves that he can do it if he's given a
Yeah,
good fucking movie.
yeah, it proves that it's Netflix fault for
Three out
fucking
of
up.
four ain't bad, so
Yeah,
I'm okay. Yeah, I don't know who that guy is. I couldn't tell you. Um,
don't
but
either. I
ag
know he directed like a couple other things here and there, but like and that's another thing, cinematography, especially when you're having to use like I know I saw a couple of behind the scenes. He's using practical things
Mhm.
behind green screen, so it's not
Right,
all just computer made and shit. Like
yeah,
when that space station is going down into the rings of
mhm.
Saturn or the that
Yeah,
storm and shit,
yeah,
that they have this thing that will start like basically being destroyed from the bottom, and it's like, oh, that's so good, you know.
yeah.
Oh yeah.
Let's talk about all those elements of this movie because
Oh, they're so good. So
there's a
practical.
lot to talk about in this movie because I heard that a lot of people were bitching about the OG synthetic
Mm,
like looking really bad and then
Ash, yeah.
uh the CGI in this in general just looking bad.
Mm,
I gotta tell you, there was a few scenes where I was like, all right. Like when the girl had the suit on, our main character has the suit on and her face was lit up and she was like jumping through air or whatever, like towards the end.
no, the
I was
end
like,
where
yeah,
like everything
okay,
gets
I get
sucked
that.
out of the airlock. There's
Maybe
like no sound because there is no sound in space.
I don't know. So I'm not sure.
Okay.
Uh, but yeah, I there was one point where she was just wearing the mask or the helmet and her face was glowing orange. And I was like, wow, they didn't do a great job of superimposing her on
Mm,
there. Outside of that,
I
and
don't
like
remember
maybe
it.
one other like there was a ship CGI that I was like, ooh. But the majority of it outside of that first synthetic, that he looked pretty rough a couple times. Um, I was like, this CGI in this movie is fantastic. Like
Yeah,
they spent a lot of time. It looks like they spent a lot of time rendering like the planet, the storms when the ship first comes up above it. I was like, God damn, that looked great.
yeah,
What are people complaining about?
yeah.
Um,
I think
but
it's
yeah,
mostly that android making it look like Ian Holmes's face
right.
because it's supposed to be the same model that Ian Holmes was designed after. So
It
that's
was
what.
it's supposed to be him.
No, it's not him. It's
No,
his
I understand.
model.
No, it's him from the first movie. He's
No,
still there.
he says I'm a model of uh, uh, uh deck officer uh Ash. So it's the same like model. Just
Are you
like
sure?
yeah, just like the same model as Michael and fuck, I can't remember the other one. In Prometheus and Covenant, if you watch that,
Uh,
it's the same actor playing two different characters.
uh
And it's because their model, when they design those like synthetics, they give them the same look. And I
Oh,
think
okay. Because I
Bishop,
thought it was supposed to be him from the
no,
first movie that was just still alive on
no,
the ship.
no, he got sucked, he got blown up. He got blown up in that first movie. So,
I didn't. Okay,
yeah,
well, I don't
when
remember the first
Sigourney
one well
Weaver
enough.
blew up the Nostromo. But,
Okay.
yeah, because the alien they find in this to get the DNA to recreate the aliens, that's the one that Ripley shot out into outer space at the end of Alien 1. That's
That's
what
why he
that,
was in that.
yeah, that's that big ship that come and they find like that space poop
Hmm.
and then they pull it in to bring out the fossil.
Okay.
So,
I did see in the fossil, like, it looked good, but the head was extremely long.
yeah.
I was like, they weren't that long. That's kind of weird. But I was like, yeah, that was nothing. Like
I
it was
know
just,
in the original print that Giger did, the head actually went like fully down the back. And I
oh
think
really?
that's just like one of those like, you know, Giger's passed on, so we're just going to use that image just for the print of the
Oh, okay.
because the xenomorph when we get in the ship when we have regular old xenomorphs
Hmm.
they look
And
normal and
right,
perfect and
right, yeah.
intense.
Yeah, they did a
So
really good job.
yeah,
I thought that the scene at the end where they're like floating through the blood after blasting all those xenomorphs, that shit was cool as hell.
yeah,
It was a little, you know, I thought that the gun was good. I thought that the way the gun worked was good, the assistance of it and all that. I mean,
yes.
the movie just kicked ass.
The
Like
gun is
it's
perfect
yes.
because that's the same noise that they use in Alien 2, but
Hmm.
it's not the same model because it's an older version of the gun,
Hmm.
but it's the same like that noise that it
Hmm.
when it like
Yeah.
opens up, same as Alien 2, and I was just sitting there like, oh, oh, member berries. It was so great.
I'm gonna have
Like
to watch Alien 2. See, everybody, if you're still here, I know you're not. We were supposed to watch Alien and then Alien
all the
2 and then
aliens, yeah.
Aliens, but then he randomly texted me and said, let's do Romulus
It's
after
because
I went through so much trouble to find all my Alien movies.
the reason I brought it up was because I was watching all the aliens anyway.
Oh, okay.
And
So you
the
just want
second I
easy
got to
homework.
Romulus, so I watched all of them. And the
Uh-huh.
second I got to Romulus, I was like, oh my God, this is new-ish and it's an alien movie. It's awesome. We got to talk about this one, you know.
I literally told you a week before that I was watching it, and I was like, yeah, I was just on my phone. I
But
wasn't
then I
watching.
wa- yeah, because like when you first started like talking about it, you were like, yeah, I tried to put that new alien Romulus on, and
Hmm.
I hadn't like all I heard was negative things about it, and I was just
Hmm.
like, oh, so like,
I wasn't even being negative necessarily. I was just like, it was a ton of talking, and I didn't know what was going
yeah,
on because I looked at my phone. So it was all my fault, obviously. But I'm glad we went back and watched it because
yeah.
it is a fantastic movie.
Like, and also I know you're not the biggest fan of the Alien franchise. Like when we tried to do the original Alien, you were just like, Get it, you know.
No, I got the original. Like it
Right,
was really cool, but it just wasn't my jam. Like it's
right.
nostalgic for you. It's one of those things that's nostalgic for you, but it's not
Mm-hmm.
for me.
Right,
This one, so the same thing happened to me with Matrix. Matrix missed me,
right.
but the newest one I watched and I was like, oh shit. So I went back and watched all the old ones. That's what this one's doing for me. Is like now I'm definitely gonna go
Yeah,
back and watch them.
that's a good lead off where watch this one, you got real like, oh, that's cool. Now go back and watch the old ones and see how many member berries you can like find. Like, oh, that noise. Oh, that sound. Oh, look, Wrigley Ripley is wearing white Reeboks just like her at the end of this one,
Yeah.
which is totally cool. I was so glad. I was like, oh shit, they even put the white Reeboks on her. That is fucking awesome. Uh, but yeah, like it just it hits those like those nice moments in there where it's like someone cared enough to find these.
Yeah, I think that that's the thing, though. We got to make sure that the right people are getting these movies, not James Wan.
Right. Fucking
I think
yeah, I
I think
think
that's it. That's the takeaway.
yeah.
Stop giving James Wan movies. That's all.
It excites me. I mean, yeah, there are like those like remakes and reboots of movies out there where we do complain about a lot of memorabilis, or we
Mhm.
do complain about like relying too much on the
Right.
original source material that they're created. But yet, when we have something like this that kind of feels fresh and kind of feels like it's coming as a love letter instead of like let's just dig fucking Michael Myers back up and fucking
Mhm.
throw him out on stage and and like let's see how much money we can get. That's when it's like, what are you doing to Michael Myers now?
Yeah. The big topic that we haven't talked about this whole time. That little fucking. All right. So two things that I. All right. Two things.
Oh,
First thing, I thought that this movie was going a different direction.
yeah.
When Andy goes, here, use this on her, and she doesn't use it on her. I thought we were going to have like an alien off where the last xenomorph is coming after her and she's like, fuck it. And she injects herself with that
Oh,
like perfect design or whatever. And then she has to fight it by hand because she mutates and, the acid blood doesn't affect her now. She drinks it or something. So,
hmm,
like, I thought that that's where that was going. It didn't go that route. I'm not mad at that. I think that that was probably a smart choice, even
right.
though that was probably the obvious conclusion was to like make her the hybrid. Speaking of hybrids, what did you think of that hybrid? Because I fucking hated it.
You hated the hybrid? Okay.
Its stupid fucking AI blank face was so ridiculous that I was just like the size of it,
Okay.
cool. The way it moved, cool. The body, cool. The face just looked like a mannequin. It looked like they just no description.
Okay.
Like no, like it should have been like an eye misplaced or something. Like look at the way the rat transformed when it was given that on the screen, like the
Right.
video that it showed of that rat. Like it mutated everywhere but the face. The face just like looked like white guy mannequin. And I don't know, that threw me way off of it. And it
Okay.
was very, very CGI'd, which also threw me off of it.
Right.
Your go, your
Can I
take.
give you
What's Jerry's hot
I'll give
take?
you some comfort, okay? Milk and cookies for you, okay? Um have you seen
He's
Prometheus?
diabetic. He's trying to kill me, guys.
Have you
I
seen
saw
Prometheus?
Prometheus when it came out. So,
Okay, or Covenant
when it came out.
when it
So,
came out.
no.
Okay,
So,
so like
basically, no at this point. It's been so
I've
long.
seen it,
So,
but I don't. But what that
yeah.
is, what she injected in her is the black goo from those two movies. Okay.
Right. Right.
And what she gave birth to is one of the like not only did the face hugger implant inside of that girl, But then when
Right.
she shot the black goo up,
That's the
she
thing.
create
She never
yes.
shot the black goo up.
No, no, no. The one girl that's pregnant. Yeah,
She
she shot
never
her neck
shot
up.
she never shot her.
Yeah, she shot her neck up.
No, she was about to. And they were like, "What's her chances of survival without this?" And he said 60-40, not in her favor. Or not, that was earlier in the movie, but
Right.
Andy says something like, "Oh, we could." He said, "If we hurry." Like, will
That's
she
right.
make it to the bay if we? So we
See,
don't
I
know
thought
that she
she
ever
was in
got shot
the
up.
pod and then they gave it to her and then put her to try to put her to sleep.
No,
And
I
then she
think that they
gave
just
birth to
dumped
the
her in the
baby.
pod. No, I think it's because the alien got a hold of her and the face hugger impregnated her,
Right.
and instead of it like going on, because it happened to her before, because if you remember when she fell, so all right, so you remember when she fell
Right.
and she got hurt, and she got up and she was holding her stomach,
Right.
and
Right.
she like takes off and the scene cuts, whatever. If you remember what happened to the rat, they smashed that rat and
Right.
then they shot it up and they brought it back. So whatever, and that black goo is just what's in the alien that makes it, it's in the xenomorph.
Yeah,
So
it
it's not something that
morphs.
was like chemically, it was like whatever in its DNA that made it the perfect biological form.
Right. The perfect
So
biological.
it, and so when it impregnated her, the face hugger, it took that baby's embryo that was probably dead at that point
Mhm.
from the fall
And
and
turned it into
reconstructed it
right.
and turned it into dumb face alien at the
Yeah,
end.
because in Prometheus, there's one scene where there's like these little tiny worms,
Hmm.
and they're crawling through the black goo, and those worms turn into like these big like they look like cobras and shit without
Hmm.
faces.
Hmm.
And then a passenger is unknowingly given the black goo to drink,
Hmm.
and he starts drinking it and he turns into a monster. Like he's all like he turns into like the fucking like goop man,
Hmm.
fucking the toxic avenger and shit.
Right,
And
and that's what I expected the face to look more or less like. At
right.
least like have a weird eye
But
or something.
I think because like okay, so since it's her baby, like if she would have done it and like she may have like just melted away. She would have turned into a monster. But
Hmm.
because the alien, like, I don't know if the aliens like got like really long implanters and was like, oh, I'm bypassing the stomach and going straight for the second stomach and
Well,
this
you saw
woman.
them pull it out of the one girl, and it
Yeah,
was
it's
long as
long. Yeah.
fuck. So and it don't look that long. It's a grower, not a shower.
Right,
Like
right.
it. So
Like
yeah, and it might have been that long.
like more so than the like I know this is a little off topic, but I do want to since you mentioned that. Can I say like the xenomorph is scary, you
Hmm.
know?
For sure.
But the fucking face huggers terrify me. Like
I just don't like how fast and quiet they can be.
the fast, they have like human fingers,
Mm.
and just the idea like it wraps its tail around your throat that
Mhm.
causes you to like try to gasp for air,
Yeah.
and then it just shoves something down your throat. It's just like that's fucking terrifying to
Hmm.
me
Yeah.
and shit.
It's really it's a smart evolutionary tactic too, right? Because
Mhm.
it chokes you so that you gasp. That way it can stick its dick in your mouth.
Right.
Like it knows exactly what it's doing. It's survived this way forever. So yeah, they're terrifying.
Yeah. Yeah.
There was
Like,
one part in the movie where I was like, oh, homeboy with the electric stick when he sticks it in the vagina. I was like, he like hits it and it electrocutes him or whatever. And then he falls back and I was like, okay, get up, run, get away from it for now, and then deal with it later. Like regroup basically.
oh no,
But
he was
they
cocky. He
did.
thought he
Yeah,
killed that
yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
not understanding how malting works,
Right.
or
And I was
like,
glad that he died, but
yeah, like,
it's still like at that point I was like, no, 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 run. Like regroup. You don't have your stick no more. There's got to be weapons on the ship. Run. Get back
yeah.
onto the other ship. Like
See,
it's all his fault, honestly, anyways, because
hmm
he locked everybody in there. So he's a piece of shit. And
yeah,
he was mean to Andy. And
yeah,
so fuck that.
yeah, exactly. But like, yeah, he's like the kid who like, oh, we got to get rid of that hornet's nest out front. Okay. And he just takes a stick and starts hitting it. It's like,
Yeah.
run,
Yeah.
motherfucker. You're supposed to hit it once and run.
Yeah.
And he's
Yeah.
just like, no, mate, I'm going it. It's going to be
Yeah.
gone here in a
Yeah.
second. But back to your black goo theory. Like, yeah, it did look rough.
It looked
Um,
just plain.
the problem, I think what they were trying to go for is like an alien resurrection. There's xenomorph live birth.
Hmm.
Xenomorphs naturally are egg, and then they
Right.
go through their process. Whereas in Resurrection, they have live birth xenomorph. And this is a live birth xenomorph with more human traits than xenomorph traits. It's got xenomorph traits, but,
Right.
and the one
And
from Resurrection looked like kind of like there's something wrong. It's all practical, but this one with the blank face, I think they were trying to say, okay, because of the creators or the engineers, that's what they were
mhm,
calling Prometheus. That's what we're
mhm,
gonna have him look like with that blank face, because they have that face and shit.
mhm.
So
Yeah, and it's not, and another thing that like I'm not going to spoil the substance for you, but like there's always the chance of like, well, I can't even say it, so it
yeah,
doesn't
don't
matter.
yeah, okay. So
Um, but
in
yeah,
that
so
case,
like
Jake, no,
yeah, but there's always like when you're doing a creature like that,
right.
like yeah, you give it extra long arms, give it extra long face, like you went through all this detail. It didn't look very realistic. I would have almost been happier with like suspending disbelief with a puppet. You know what I mean? Like
Mhm.
somebody in like a puppet suit that has, on stilts or whatever. Um,
Or
but the
hide it
face,
like
yeah,
in
oh,
the
yeah.
dark. And
And
it
they
would just
did
been
do
like an
that a couple of
arm, and
times,
like you see
but
like a little like flash
right.
of its face or something here and
And they
there.
did that at first. The
Yeah,
first part of it, they did that. And even then I was like, oh, oh. It didn't have eyebrows. It didn't like there was nothing that there was no descriptive feature to this thing. And it's
right.
like,
I was so afraid it was gonna do like the mama that shit or something like
I
that.
thought it was going to suck on her tit. When she reached into her shirt and pulled that goo out, I was like, oh, she's lactating goo for it to breastfeed on.
Right.
And it came
That's
up and it like shot the little thing out of his mouth. I was like, oh, he's about to go suck on a tit.
yeah.
And I was like, this is not something I need to see.
No. Fucking
But
yeah, I didn't sign up for this. Okay.
Andy was amazing.
And
The
he was
the guy
amazing. The
that played
robot was
Andy,
amazing.
yeah, he did such a good job. All of his
The acting was
deliveries were
amazing. That
perfect. Yeah.
actor,
Yeah.
if they
Yeah, I
want,
want to see him in so much more.
right, I want
I
to see,
hope they bring him back in the next one
right.
like three times. Like,
And I'll give it to the girl too, because I
yeah, yeah,
thought she
yeah.
did a
She
great
did good.
job, especially
She did good.
as that like that sister who has to basically like, okay, this robot is designed to take care of her,
Hmm.
but in reality, she has to
She's
kind of
taking
take
it. Yeah.
care of him.
And he recognizes that. He said,
Yeah,
I've been a burden to you your whole life. Like,
right,
I think that when the next movie comes out and they have the brother come back from colony and he goes, where is she? And then he has
right,
to go find her and then, all that stuff. Like, I think that they need to focus on Andy a lot. Like,
right. Like a synthetic, not understanding like certain human traits,
mhm.
but understanding, like, because he has the one directive, keep you
I,
safe.
I think that the one thing that like I was like, ooh, is when the guy with the bandana, the dickhead, and when they're when they're first getting into the ship and he like points the stick at him, he's like, maybe I'll keep this, and he's like snatches him like so fast, and he's like, I'm sorry, I was just joking. Like he knows that that thing can
Oh yeah, it has the
but
potential.
right, but it's just directed not to.
Hmm.
And of course Andy's just like, you're about to fall.
Yeah,
Like he was so soft spoken, but so concise and confident in everything that he did. I was just like, this is fucking awesome.
right.
I love this. So yeah.
Yeah, they played that role well, especially because that's how the androids, because every alien movie has not only a xenomorph or a form of xenomorph, the android, especially the synthetic,
Mhm.
especially, is always kind of like this center point of focus. And
Mhm.
the actors who played them have all played different kinds, but this is the first time where it's like, oh, I care about this one like
Mhm.
more
Yeah.
so than like a
Yeah.
Bishop or a David, or I don't
Right.
even
Right.
remember Winona Ryder's character's name. And so then I can't remember Michael Fassbender's name in Covenant. So, but this one, it was like, oh, I
Yes.
like it. I like it a lot.
Yeah. All
Mm.
right. Let's wrap this
But
shit up.
in that case, Jacob, are you sad you didn't go see it in the theater?
I think it would have been cool to see in the theater. And I'm definitely gonna go buy it on DVD now.
Yeah, I
Now
would
that
buy
I've
it on
seen it,
DVD.
I'm gonna go buy it on DVD.
I am. I would have loved to actually, and I'm not big theater, but like a big screen, loud
This
speakers.
is a theater
This is
movie.
a theater
This is
movie.
what it's meant to. And it's 2 hours.
Yeah,
Like you get your money's worth.
right.
And it is a blockbuster style movie. I fucked up. We fucked up by not going and seeing this.
Right, because usually, oh, another Alien movie's coming out, and with like the last two, like I said, I'm not the biggest fans of. They were trying something different, and it was
Right.
just
I
like,
didn't dislike Prometheus. I thought it
right.
was okay.
Yeah, it's okay, but
Covenant was just like, yeah, all right, man, I saw that movie. And I
right.
think that those two were the reason that I came into this one the way that I did initially, like very like just put on a movie, it's new,
Yeah, it's like,
and then,
oh,
it
Alien
took me going
Covenant,
back and going, oh shit,
Prometheus.
this is yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Oh, another Alien movie without Sigourney Weaver. Because when I was rewatching all of these movies and I got to Prometheus and Covenant, I was sitting there like, is it an Alien movie without a Sigourney Weaver?
Oh, for
And
sure, for sure.
and like those two, and like I was like, yep, not, nope, nope, nope. And then when this came on, I was like, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter
Yeah,
she's not there, because this is my new alien. This is
right. This is your new
new,
Ripley.
you know?
I think that yeah, it doesn't require her, just like Scream doesn't require Nev,
Right.
or Evil Dead doesn't require Ash if you do it well, not like they did it this last time.
Right.
But it's the Xenomorph, it's the Deadite, it's Leatherface. It's you
Yes.
know what I mean? Like you don't need Sally Hartstein, you need Leatherface. You know what I mean? So like I get it. She's comfortable
Hmm.
and you feel familiar with her and you're used to that matchup, but at the same time, I think as long as the xenomorph and facehuggers in it, it's an alien movie.
Yeah, yeah. I feel like it has that tone, and you just give the main haul to a strong lead female, because
Hmm.
these are really like feminine style movies because
Yeah.
of what the xenomorph represents,
Hmm.
you know, and what, like Ripley represented,
Hmm.
and now this new girl,
Right.
so
Yeah.
um you're gonna own a physical copy here soon?
Absolutely.
Yeah, I own a physical
Probably
copy.
tomorrow.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I would highly recommend owning physical copies of this.
Mhm.
Would you recommend this to people?
Hell yeah. I'm going to.
Yeah, I'm gonna recommend it to people. I'm gonna say it's probably the best one since, one. If anything, if I had like a top five, it would go like
All right.
one.
Well, let's wait till we get there.
No,
Let's not take other video ideas away
top
from ourselves in the
top
middle
five
of
alien
the
movies.
ending of a video.
Yeah,
Yeah.
one,
We've done it
this,
in
and
all of
then
them. So
yeah.
stop doing it. Stop doing it. I just said, let's not take it away from it. Yeah. Yeah, you're
Yeah, I know.
right. I
I was
just
just gonna
saved it.
do it
I'm just
now at
gonna
the end
do
of the
it
video
anyways.
for the fans.
Yeah.
All right, cult classic. Could this be a cult classic?
I think it'll be a while, but it could be. I mean, it's pretty popular. I saw a lot of people going, yeah, I went saw it theater. So like,
Right. It's a
I think cult,
mainstream title, but
right? But I think as where a lot of people are over the series.
hmm
No, I don't think it would be a cult classic because the people who love it are going to love it like you, like the fans
right.
of the series. There's nothing that a series fan would dislike about this movie. I can't think. So no, I don't think it'll ever be a cult
Yeah, but
classic.
like a small group that's just like likes this movie. You know, like, yeah, I don't like the other aliens, but I like this one. That will
I
never
can't
happen.
imagine. It's too, yeah, it's too close to all the other ones or
Right.
the original one that I can remember. So, no, I don't think this can work as a
Yeah,
cult,
I'll
unfortunately.
agree with that statement. I don't think it can hit that cult status just by itself, you know.
Yeah, yeah.
So, and yeah, I guess that's all that we got today. So.